What's up guys, Techmaster back with another video. So I just made a video about the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus. Now we're going to do the iPhone 14 Pro. I think this is hands down still the best iPhone to buy, especially if you're upgrading from a really old iPhone like, I don't know, a 6 or a 7. But yeah, these are the best phones right now. And especially in terms of camera hardware. I mean, these things are next level when it comes to camera. Like, literally the only smartphone that actually beat this thing out was the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, and that had a 200 megapixel camera versus any other smartphone. The 14 Pro destroyed them in terms of camera technology. I mean, these cameras are next level. I mean, seriously. So this phone is obviously still 999, but I would honestly recommend these still a lot more, which I'll do a comparison between these and the 14s, standard 14 and 14 Plus, which I said skip, which I'm not wrong about because it is Apple marketing because they're just adding a couple extra features, making you want to spend more on that phone. So, you know. Anyway, getting back into this, so we got the Dynamic Island, 48 megapixel main cameras. So, like I said, meet Dynamic Island, which is the notch, and it gives you a new way to. Ooh, sorry, my bad. Go back to here. I don't want to click out of there. And we have the 48 megapixel main camera, the A16 Bionic chip, which is the fastest chip in a smartphone. It's not much faster than the A15, but it's definitely worth it if you get the extra performance. Plus, you get a ProMotion display, which I haven't really mentioned yet. You get the ProMotion display, which makes it feel much faster than the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus. So that with the A16 chip is going to make this thing feel faster for sure. It's got all day battery life. It's not the best battery life. It's actually worse than the 13. They shrunk the battery for the Pro and Pro Max, but the 14 Pro apparently actually has a bigger battery than the 13 Pro. So it's kind of tricky, but that's just how I put it there. The 14 Pro has a 3,200 milliamp hour battery compared to a 3,095 on the 13 Pro. That's just the Pro, but standard Pro. But we have the always on display, which is actually really cool. So you can see your notifications. It's like an Apple Watch, Series 7, and all the new Apple Watches. Like the display's on. This was the first phone to bring it. We got action mode, which is actually really cool. It stabilizes your video. Literally, if you're shaking the phone around, it just stabilizes it. And then that's really cool because, yeah, you can get super smooth video. And then Film Like a Pro, not that much here. Ceramic shield, that's kind of a little bit of marketing, but, anyway. Pretty durable. Emergency SOS via satellite. They showed a video on the Apple event that's like when you're in a dead spot, and then you can call for emergency services. And the displays, crash detection, which is really useful. That's like if you're in a crash and you're unresponsive, your watch will call 911 and track your location. So that's a useful feature. But yeah, I still think these are really good phones, especially if you're upgrading from older phones. And now let's do a comparison between these and the 14s. So, like I said, the 14, I'll just get this 14 out here first. So, comparing the 14 and the 14 Pro, we got ProMotion display and an always-on display compared to the standard 6.1-inch screen with no ProMotion or an always-on display. So, this is basically the iPhone 13 display, which I'll be getting into. No Dynamic Island. They do have emergency SOS via satellite and crash detection, but that's not bad. 12 megapixel cameras, that's the same as the 13 versus 48, which is a much bigger jump. We have the Dynamic Island also on the 14 Pro. Action mode, you both have. We have better zoom options. We have the same exact camera on the 14. And then the battery life is pretty much the same on the 14, with the 14 Pro being a lot better. We got the A15 on the 14, A15 chip, which is exactly the same as the 13, and the A16 with the 5-core GPU, which is faster. We also get a ProMotion display, like I mentioned, get 5G, and then all this stuff is all the same on the 13. So basically, the bottom line is, and then the 14 Pro Max is basically the same too. And then like the 14 Plus is like really overpriced, like $899. Like yes, it's $200 less than the 14 Pro Max, but it's so much better to get the 14 Pro Max. There's so many benefits, and it's much more worth it. So, bottom line is, yeah, I mean, the 14 Pro Max is a really good phone. But I wouldn't necessarily upgrade if you have a 12 or newer. But if you have an iPhone 11 or older, even for a 14 Pro, like that's not going to be a bad upgrade. If you have a 12, that's not a great upgrade because that phone still got plenty of capability, much more than an iPhone 11. But yeah, I think if you have an iPhone 11 or older though, then upgrading to a 14 Pro is going to be a big upgrade. So yeah, but anyway, I would definitely recommend these phones under all circumstances. I think they're really good and they added a lot of cool new features for the Pro models. Yeah. So anyway, that sums up this video, and I'll make another video on some other topics very soon.